Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Rob. For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else, 1-866-636-6284. By email, you can do the math at kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net. And find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, thanks for that, Rob. Now, for 22 years, people have been going, we've had a student do that all of the time, and they're always right there. So we have an older student, shall we say. We are all students throughout our entire lives, are we not?
Lifelong learner, Mike.
There you go. So we are lifelong learners. We learn something new every day, and today's your day.
Thank you.
As well as my day, too, anyway. So anyway, Rob, you are an employee of the Kern County Superintendent of Schools.
That is correct.
And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And we'll get into more depth of that and stuff like that. But right now, what I need you to do is help me with the social media problem of the day. So let's go ahead and take a look at it on the screen together. So we've got, what is an equation using B and S that represents the relationship in the table? Now, a lot of times kids will go, what is an equation using this? And they're like, I don't understand what they want already. Don't even worry about that. All we're doing is looking at the table. And we see boxes of muffins and what they cost. So we can see that one box of muffins, B, is going to cost us $10, S. So 2 boxes of muffins is going to cost 20, and we can see the pattern that it goes in right there.
Okay.
So looking at that pattern, we have a series of equations on the side A, B, C, and D. So let's go ahead and what is the first thing that comes to mind when you're looking at this? Because this is probably something that you don't do in your job every day, is coming up with equations like this. So as you're looking at this, what's popping into your head first of all?
It's an expensive box of muffins.
Premium muffins,
there
right?
you go. Well, I've been a long time since I've even looked at something like this, to be quite honest with you, so I'm hoping you'll help me out with this, Mike.
Indeed. So we can see that 1 is to 10.
Okay.
So we can kind of look at a ratio like that, right? If 1 is to 10, 2 is to 20.
All right.
So we know that a unit rate, 1 box is going to be worth $10.
Correct.
So let's just go through the equations one at a time.
Okay.
So S, the sale, the price,
Yep.
equals 1B.
Okay.
So we can see that 10, if that's the price, equals 1 times B equals 1. That kind of makes sense, but not too much sense really right now, because let's look at B. The sale equals 10 times B. So we're saying the sale price of 10 is equal to 10 times B, and B in the first line is 1.
Okay, I'm already confused.
Let's go on. Maybe it'll clear things up. So C, S, the sale price, is equal to 1.2 times B. Now, do you think 1.2 has anything even relevant with this? Because it basically is, the left side is just counting by ones, the other side is counting by tens.
Right.
So do you think 1.2 even has a place in this?
No.
Yeah, I would say probably not either, right? So we can eliminate C.
Okay.
D, B, a box of muffins equals 1S. So let's imagine B is 1, right? All we're doing is the top line,
Okay.
right? So 1 box of muffins is equal to 1S.
Okay.
And we don't, like S is $10 every time, right? Now, let's take a look at the top again, because we know C is done. So the sale, the price, is equal to 1.
Okay.
Because if B is 1, 1 times 1 is 1.
Right.
So the sale of $10 is equal to 1 times 1. 10 does not equal 1, does it?
No.
Okay, so we can eliminate A.
Okay.
You good with that?
I'm perfect with that.
All right, so we have A and C gone. So let's take a look at B. So the sale price is equal to 10 times whatever B is. So if we're just looking at the top line, B is 1. And we're saying that 10 is equal to 1.
Got it.
All right, now the second line, B is 2. So that would mean 10 times 2 would be 20. The next one, 3, 10 times 3 would be 30. Does that make sense on B so far?
It does.
Option B.
Got it.
So maybe we should have used like different letters instead of B but anyway, we go on. So we're down to B and D. So D is saying that B, the box of muffins, 1 box, is equal to 1, whatever the sale is.
Right.
But it's going to stay like that. It will never alter from that point. So what we see is as we increase the box of muffins, the price is also increasing.
Right.
So out of the 4 equations, the only one that is able to increase would be, I'm thinking B right now.
Right.
So we're going to go with B?
B is my final answer.
B is your final answer. So we've had a good discussion about this, and we can see a lot of the B and the yes, and put that all together. We got some B and S going on, and right now we got answer B he's going to go with.
Final answer. Come on.
Let's see it. Oh,
Yes.
There we go. We've got it. See that, dude? First one done.
Nice.
All right, so that is the social media problem of the day. All right, 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout most of the school year. Just a reminder, next week, Thanksgiving week, and we will not have any live broadcasts that week, so we won't have to worry about doing any live mathematics on that program those weeks. We'll have reruns for you, obviously, and on social media all of the different times, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Time now for today's Math in the News. All right, so Rob, what I want you to do now is take a deep breath.
No more math?
Let it out nice and easy. The most difficult thing you did all day was to read all of that stuff at the beginning
Okay.
and get through that social media problem of the day.
Thank you.
Everything else is going to be a piece of cake from now on.
Excellent.
So let's talk about your regular position here at the Superintendent of Schools office. So
Love
what
to.
is your position?
I am the Director of Communications at the Kern County Superintendent Schools office. I've been here for almost 12 years now. And basically what the communications team does, we're basically the storytellers. We tell stories through words, whether they're spoken or written, video, photos, and graphics.
Okay, so kids might be going, all right, so give us an example of where we would see some of these stories or hear some of the stories. How would they hear or see them?
Right, so kern.org is our website that we publish a lot of the stories on. Of course, social media, we have Instagram, Twitter, or X I guess it is now, and Facebook. And we just launched a new educational news website at news.kern.org.
Okay.
And that is called EdConnect, and a lot of the stories that we're going to be publishing are going to be offered there.
Now, is that something aimed for adults or students or both?
It's aimed for both. Really, it's a way to. There's so much positivity in our schools, and I don't think that gets shared enough with the general community. So EdConnect is a way for us to share those positive stories, go out and shake the trees at the school districts and within our own community here at KCSOS and really share the positivity.
Well, I think that's a great point because a lot of times everybody focuses on the negativity, right?
Absolutely.
If something goes wrong, you're going to hear about it. You're going to hear about it for a long time from a lot of different places.
Absolutely.
But if something positive happens, it kind of like, well, yeah, it happened, but that's supposed to happen, but you never hear about it again.
Absolutely.
Really.
So that's what we're trying to combat.
Good. And that just started this year?
Just today.
Oh,
We
okay.
launched it today.
Oh, good. Nice
So
to
this
have
is
you out
timely.
with the launch of this on
Exactly.
the actual day that it happened.
So I encourage everyone to go out and take a look.
And say it again. So
News.kern.org
news.kern.org.
Yes.
And kern.org is the
is our internal, or it's a public-facing website, but it's KCSOS's website. This news site is specifically for education news in Kern County.
All right, perfect. So let's talk about one of your latest projects that
Yes,
you had. all
very
right?
exciting project.
So so tell us about the logo
Right.
for KCSOS this year.
So a new superintendent, Kern County Superintendent of Schools was appointed in July, Dr. John Menderbrew. And we've really never had a proper logo. We've always had a word mark that we've used. Actually, if you can put it to the next slide.
Go ahead and take a look at that.
The example to the left there is what we've traditionally used throughout the entirety of our existence, really. And so a logo really is a visual representation of what an organization stands for. So what we have on the right-hand side is just that. And we have an example over here of what the inspiration behind the new logo is. I was in my superintendent's office and he said, Rob, I want to have this image, this decoration that you're seeing there on your screen, part of our logo, is something that really means a lot to him. And so what we came up with is this abstract window concept that really signifies our priority areas, and that's what the panes in the glass mean, is the support, engagement, and growth of our priority areas. And then of course the old-fashioned school bell and the textbooks really pay homage to the heritage of Kern County Superintendent of Schools, serving our community for the past 150 years.
Yeah, I was going to say a logo, because then that way when people see this and get used to it, they're going to go, oh, that's KCSOS.
That's it.
Because everybody is used to seeing other logos around, and you don't need to see words many times. You just know, oh, that's what that is.
Exactly. So now that this is created, we're in the process of switching all of what we're calling the legacy logo out with this new logo. So we have many examples, as you can see here, on signage, big signage around our building. It's going to be all over the vehicles. I have it on my shirt here, of course, and a lot of different other things that we're implementing right now as far as the logo is concerned. There's some other examples of just practical uses on some of our collateral material, business cards, and those types of things.
All right, great. You know what, I'm going to go back to the logo here.
Sure.
So who decided, is that your decision on the colors for the panes in the window, or is that a collaboration, or, because I know you said what they stood for.
Yeah. So the process went like this. We use a process called RPI. It's research, planning, implementation, and evaluation. So the first part, I went into our superintendent's office knowing that this project was at the forefront, and we just did a needs assessment, and we talked and said, well, what do you want? What do you want in a new logo? And a lot of times people don't know what they want, but Dr. Miriam really did know what he wanted. He provided a great example of what he wanted it to be. These colors signify, and these came directly from him, the green is a chalkboard green, the red is a schoolhouse red, and the yellow is a school bus yellow.
Okay.
So there's really a story behind all of this, and you may not know that if you just look at it, but it's
well,
fun
it makes sense now.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were growing up, the chalkboards were green.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, some kids are like, what's a chalkboard even, right? They have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they've seen a whiteboard,
Yep.
based on their age, and some may never even seen a whiteboard if they're young enough. They've only seen Promethean boards and smart boards and things like that.
So after I had several pages of notes from Dr. Mendriborough, we went back with the team and kind of started doing the planning process, really starting to put some sketches together on what this might look like. And then I went into the implementation stage, and then took those sketches and started to do the graphics in Adobe Illustrator and make various different logos. And then finally the evaluation stage, took some draft logos and vetted them with some other communication professionals up and down the state, some of my colleagues at other county offices of education, and of course the team here at KCSOS, Denise Avery from our communications team, she's our graphic artist, was instrumental in this process as well.
I was going to say, it looks fabulous, and I'm sure that you are the envy of many other county offices.
we hope so.
They're like, oh, check out the logo these guys came up with.
So this is a lot different than the one we started with. It's close, but there was definitely some nuance there. The window that we started out with was a 4-pane square window, but we really wanted to go with kind of that throwback, old school looking window.
But I'm sure probably at the beginning also you had the colors going red, yellow, green, like a stoplight maybe, and you're like, nah, we don't want the stoplight thing, so we mix them up a little bit. I have no idea.
You're right. The colors were totally different at first, and then I was reminded by my superintendent that he was very adamant about these specific colors, so we went back to the original.
Good. Well, you know what? It looks great, and I know that everybody in the office and everybody here at Do the Math is just ecstatic and thrilled with the new logo.
I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, when you see it all around now, so I think that branding and putting that logo out hot and heavy on everything, people are going to get used to this, and it certainly is a great improvement right there.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Thank you for your time, Rob.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in today. That is today's Math in the News. Six 636-4357 is that phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. In studio with us right now, we have Aaron. How are you today?
Good.
Now, why don't you remind everybody where you go to school and what grade you're in?
Well, I go to school at Reagan, and I'm in 6th grade.
How is 6th grade?
Pretty good.
So it's pretty good. What's so good about 6th grade? Is there anything that you really like about it? Did you have an opportunity to go to Camp Keep
what about
yet?
Camp Keep?
Well, I didn't go.
Okay, so but you learned about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what were some of the things that you learned about Camp Keep?
Well, it's about science.
Okay.
And you learn science.
Now, I see that you brought a pretty thick book here, right?
Yeah.
So this book has to deal with what?
SAT.
Right, and you're getting ready for that in 6th grade right now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. So you must like to do math.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything, what kind of math have you been doing in 6th grade so far this year?
Well, like decimal, multiplication. Like right now, I think we're just doing a review of 5th grade, I think.
Okay.
Going over
So-
fractions, multiplying
Yeah.
fractions, dividing, messing with decimals.
And
Yeah.
you're pretty comfortable with all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right. And is there anything that is giving you any difficulty so far in 6th grade this year?
Not really.
All right. And you've been at Reagan for a long time?
Well, for about 2 years.
Okay. And you're getting ready to go to junior high next year. So is
Yeah.
there anything that you're anticipating or nervous about as far as junior high goes for next year?
Yeah.
Are you worried about the math class? Because I'm sure you're going to be fine with that.
No, I'm not worried about the math
All
class.
right, well, good. Well, you know what? How about we get started with a math problem right now?
Okay.
So this is going to be a problem where all I want you to do, this is going to be in your SAT book. I just simply want you to evaluate an expression because there are a lot of students that are evaluating expressions right now in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. And what I'd like you to do is go through, and you know the order of operations, correct?
Yes.
All right. So Mickey, I'm going to have you put the problem up on the board.
Okay.
And then we're going to have Aaron talk you guys' way through it. So start way over on the left. It's going to be pretty lengthy. So we
Okay.
have 40 divided by 1 plus 3 minus, open parentheses, 3 times 7, close parentheses, plus 7, minus 5. All right, Aaron, why don't you head on over to the board, grab the other marker, and you and Mickey work through that problem
I
together.
guess one quick question, is this going to be a math equation?
It is not an equation.
Or, okay, so it's not, okay,
So
just
we're
want
not
to double check,
making
no
it
equal
equal to
sign.
anything.
Okay, sounds good. All right, come on over, talk me through what you think we should do first based on what you see, and let's go from there.
Well, so I think we should do the things in the multiplication problem, the parentheses first.
Okay.
So this would be 21. And then I should start with this division problem. 40 divided by 1 is 40.
Okay.
And 40 plus 3 is 43.
Let me pause you there. So why are you saying 40 plus 3 next and not anything
Well,
over here? Not saying you're right or wrong. I just want you to explain it to me so anyone else understands
Well,
also.
I just made a mistake, so I
Okay. I'm not saying you made a mistake. I just want you to take us through the process you're going through.
well, then you would put the minus sign
Okay.
and drop the 21, so, and then plus 7 minus 5.
So I haven't seen a mistake yet. What do you think your mistake was that you were telling me about?
It's just I meant to say the whole multiplication first before.
Okay, so instead of thinking, okay, I'm just going to start adding 3, we want to make sure we want to bring down all the remaining pieces of
Yeah.
our expression.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Then you want to do 40 plus 3, which is 43.
And why not subtract first? What are the rules when we have only adding and subtracting?
Well, you go from left to right.
Kind of like reading a book?
Yeah.
Reading the math book of expressions? All right.
Yeah. So 43 minus 21 is 22. And then you're done with this.
Okay, I like that we crossed it out because that was my other concern was, if some students are watching, they may not understand where the pieces are coming from, but we're eliminating what we've done. I love it. Keep going.
And then you bring the plus 7 here.
Okay.
So 22 plus 7 is 29.
An equal sign. Oh no. Just messing with you. It's an expression. Technically there's no equal sign, but we know what you mean. Keep going.
And then you bring the minus 5 here.
All right.
So 29 minus 5 is 24.
Two equal signs. Man, okay.
And that's the answer.
Are you positive?
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure. Come on. Yes or no? What are you thinking?
Yes.
I love it. All right, let's head over to Mike. Mike, how do we do?
24 is indeed correct. So nicely done on that first problem right there, Aaron. And for some great work so far this afternoon, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Chick-fil-A. So congratulations on
You
that.
like Chick-fil-A?
Everybody loves Chick-fil-A, I'll tell you right now.
First time for
I love
everything.
Troy.
It's gonna
Said,
be
said.
awesome.
Troy's been a great partner to do the math for many years. And right now we're going to talk a little math.
Hi, my name is David Catalan, and today we're going to be finding out how to find the area of an irregular shape. To find the area in an irregular shape, we first have to multiply length times width. An irregular shape has multiple sides and different shapes, but today we're going to be cutting it into this way, since it's easier. For this simpler shape, we're just going to have to multiply length times width, and we have both our sides and lengths and widths. So all we have to do is multiply 5 times 10, which gives us 50. So the area of this simpler shape is 50 meters squared. Now we have to find out the area of this simpler shape, but since it has a missing side, we're gonna have to find the missing side. We know that this side is 5 meters. So what we have to do is subtract 8 by 5, which equals 3. So this side of this simpler shape is 3 meters squared. So now we can multiply 3 times 6, which equals 18 meters squared. So this simpler shape is 18 meters squared. There's a different way to cut this irregular shape. Just like how we did it before, we could cut it like this way, or we could add a piece by adding this part, or we could even cut it like this. So now we're gonna cut it into a different part. We're gonna work with these rectangles now. I'm gonna start working with this rectangle since it has no missing sides. All we have to do is just multiply the length and width to find the area. So we know that the length is 8 meters and the width is 6 meters. So we just have to multiply them to get 58 meters squared. So for this rectangle, it is 48 meters squared. Now we have to find the area of the other rectangle. By finding the area of the other rectangle, all we have to do is subtract 10 by 6, since this entire side is 10 meters and this side is 6 meters. So when we subtract 10 by 6, we find the missing side, which is 4 meters. And all we have to do now is just multiply them by each other, and we get 20 meters squared. Now when we add them, we're going to get the exact same answer like we did before. So no matter what part you cut or what part you add, this irregular shape is always going to be the same area. And this is how you find the area of an irregular shape.
And there are a lot of irregular shapes, and we want to thank these guys for coming in and talking a little math with us and showing us their expertise on that right there. In studio with us, we have Aaron, a 6th grade student from Reagan Elementary, and loving doing the math, right? So you're able to do a lot of different levels of math, it sounds like right now, if you've already got an SAT book and you're kind of going through it, kind of getting ready for that, right?
Yeah.
Do you have an idea or have you thought about what you might like to do when you're through with all of your schooling?
Well, I've been thinking about it, but I'm not too sure.
Well, what have you been thinking about so far, you think?
I don't know, like an engineer.
Now, what type of, there are many types, have you started exploring different types of engineering? Because there's dozens of types of engineering.
Well, not really.
Okay, but you know you want to get into engineering somehow,
Yeah.
right?
Nice.
And you like the idea of what they do and you're going to be able to apply a lot of math to it also, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at one of the problems that you're working on in your booklet
Come on
here. It
over.
says if a squared b equals 12 squared and b is an odd integer, then a could be divisible by all of the following except. So you need to figure out if it's 3, 4, 6, 9, or 12.
So what are you thinking? First off, what are our thoughts here?
Well, I don't know, maybe you could plug in a random odd number here.
Okay. So, how many odd numbers are there?
Infinite.
Yeah, right, so hold on. So instead of doing that, let's kind of take it more from a what do we know about math and like math conceptual understanding. 12 squared. What do you think we could do with it? Do you know what 12 squared is?
144.
Okay, so we have the option. We can change it to 144, and let's maybe start with that. So maybe we understand that 12 squared, almost forgot how to use it, is really 144. Now, remember again, b is odd. So this problem has a focus on odd and even integers. So what do you notice in the equation they give us already? If they're talking odd and even, what do we notice?
Well, we notice this is an even number.
Okay. Now, if b is odd, I'm going to multiply something times an odd number and have to make it even. Do we know anything about odds and evens and how we make them?
Well, I think an odd times an even is an odd.
Okay.
And
What else?
An odd times an odd is an odd.
Odd times an odd is an odd. Okay. So there's not really a guaranteed way to make an even, is there?
Yeah.
So using our understanding, let's kind of think. So b is an odd number. So what do you think we could put in there right now?
Well,
You don't have to go super. You don't have to be like 1,493,723,403. Pick something decent we can work with right now.
3.
Okay, so let's erase the b. Let's put in a 3, so we can at least start to give ourselves something to wrap our heads around instead of more the conceptual side. All right, let's put a 3 in parentheses so we remember that it's being multiplied. Okay, so something times 3 potentially could equal 12 squared, right?
Yeah.
So looking at our different options here, what are some ones that could be viable but not being plugged in, but we could divide them, that a, by 3? Is that correct, Mike? We were trying to find an a value that is divisible by 3 that would work in this situation?
Right, so what I would do is even erase the 3 and make it a 1.
Ooh,
So
even
something
easier. Nice.
squared is going to be 144.
All right, so now we're just
And
dealing
it
with
might
the
be
1.
easier
Is
to get
one
the
gonna
eventual
change,
answer.
One going to change anything?
No.
No. Okay. So now looking at it, a to the second power equals 144. Well, what to the second power makes 144?
12.
Boom. So we know a is 12, and we need to find the number that is not divisible by the value we could plug in. So we're saying a is 12. Which one of these numbers is not divisible by 12? Or 12 is not divisible by one of these numbers?
9.
Let's go to Mike. Let's check it out. Mike, is it 9?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to look at something different here, all right?
Okay.
So it says make b equal to 1, which is what we did,
Correct.
right? So you get a squared times 1 is equal to 12 squared, which is 144.
Oh, okay.
So a is equal to 12,
Correct.
all right? Now, if a is equal to 12, it's divisible by 3,
4, 6,
4,
and 12.
6, and 12.
Correct.
So the question, let's go back to it and see. Then a could be divisible by all of the following except
9.
d is 9.
Correct?
So D is correct.
All right.
I just wanted to make sure that we talked our way all the way through that.
I panicked a
And
little
then
bit.
you
I'm
can
thinking,
see
well, I'm not sure how else we're getting,
D
why
is
that isn't
not.
an answer.
So nicely done right there.
All right. Well
All right,
done.
636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Right now, we have an opportunity to speak with one of the many people with NASA. And Red, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining us. I know that a lot of times you guys are very busy, and we are fortunate to be able to have you on show with us right now. You're in charge of the model shop, correct?
That's right.
All right, so how did you, first of all, get involved with NASA and then be able to get into the position you're in right now?
Well, first of all, it stems from a love of airplanes. I was born loving airplanes, so that helped a bunch. But I worked for another company, and we used to come down here to NASA to use the airspace to fly our research aircraft. And over time, some folks here got to know me and eventually offered me a job.
All right, so there's a lot of things you guys have been working on. When we were out there, it was fascinating just to see all the different models in there. And it's like, hey, you know, any kid that loves to put together models, this is like a dream place for them to be. Just because you start on different scales. So can you talk a little bit about some of the scales you use before you eventually bring something out to test it?
Yeah, so the name of the lab is called the Dale Reed Subscale Flight Research Lab. So that implies that we're using scaled aircraft, somewhat smaller than man-carrying aircraft, to do flight research with. So they can range in size from tiny little things like I have a little one here, this little Mars Explorer airplane, up to hundreds or even thousands of pounds. So it really just depends on the type of research that we're doing, and we scale the aircraft appropriately for that.
And this has got to be a great thing to do because it's ever evolving, correct? You're never working on the same thing for very long.
That's my absolute favorite part about the job, is it's never the same day twice.
Yeah, there you go. So I know that you've forwarded a couple of videos for us. So we're going to take a look at one right now where you are working on, I believe, an experimental wing. Maybe not as experimental now as it was at one point, but let's go ahead and take a look at the video. You can tell us about what we're looking at.
Well, it still is, and this is a plane called a Prandtl, and that's the last name of a German aerodynamicist who postulated this theory in 1933. So this is a 25-foot wingspan airplane that we're building here, and the yellow that you see is the mold, and the black stuff is carbon fiber that we're putting in there and vacuum bagging down to construct it. And this is the finished airframe here with a group of interns around it installing the instrumentation system on board. So each one of those little green dots of tape is a flush fitting pressure port, and those tubes all connect to a central computer where we can measure airflow around the wing in real time. We believe this is the first time that this has ever been done on this scale of a vehicle.
That's quite a bit of work going on there also. And these are all interns, you said, that are working on that part right there?
Yeah, we do a lot of intern integration help here. So there's only 4 of us in the lab. We can only do so much. And it's great to have young people that are excited about this sort of thing to come in and give us a hand, during the summer and sometimes in the fall to help us out. And a lot of times they're smarter on different systems than we are in some cases. So it's been a really great relationship to have that.
Yeah, it's amazing how many times somebody younger will come in and know as much as we do, and if not more, in a lot of certain areas. So I know
it's our job.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's our job to guide them in the right direction. So we like to say they've got a bunch of velocity but no vector. So tons of energy, and they're very smart, but they don't necessarily know what direction they're going. So our job is to help shape that a little bit.
While we're on the intern thing, I know it's going to go off a little bit, but how long are they there, and how do they get selected for that? Or do you even know?
Yeah, so I am part of the selection process, usually if it's involving a project in my lab or even directly in my lab here. They're usually here about 3 months, and you can have multiple rotations throughout the year, depends on how you get selected. But I would have to look to be sure, but I'm pretty sure that the website that you can apply to is intern.nasa.gov. And we take interns as young as 16 years old, as long as they're a senior in high school, and focused on a STEM sort of a course. So,
and you are at the Armstrong Flight Research Center, correct?
That's right, out here at Edwards Air Force Base out in the middle of the desert.
All right, so I know that we've got a couple other videos, so let's take a look at this because this is different than that other wing that we were looking at. And we'll wait for that to come up, and here we go.
So this is a plane called the APV, and it's actually flying a similar system that we were flying on on the Prandtl wing as well. This particular airplane has a fiber optic strain sensing network in the wings. And what it allows us to do is when the wing is deflecting under load, which you see right there, is it puts a control input back into the multiple control segments in the wing, and we can actually reduce the load that the wing has to carry via this control system. So it's essentially a smart wing.
Okay, I was going to say, therefore, more energy efficient.
Yes, and so what it really boils down to is an airplane wing is designed to fly around the worst case scenario, say 6G or something like that. But most of the time, it flies around at 1G or maybe a 1 and a fraction of a G. So if you don't have to carry all of that 6G weight wing around, you can build a lighter wing that's smart, that can deform to deflect and carry that load more efficiently, then you have a more efficient airplane overall.
Okay, and I know we've got one more video with a different plane here, the T-Gals.
Yeah, this is a towed glider air launch concept, and what this is demonstrating is a new way to launch rockets. Now, that red and white plane is the tow plane, there's the glider right there, and eventually that will carry a rocket underneath it. So this gets towed up just like a normal, sailplane that you would fly for fun. It would have a rocket underneath it, get towed up to a very high altitude, somewhere around 40,000 feet, and you would air launch the rocket from the glider instead of launching from a traditional vertical launch complex. And believe it or not, that can save about an order of magnitude cost. So going from $100,000 a pound to $10,000 a pound to put something into low Earth orbit. So again, cost saving.
Yeah, I was going to say, because all the energy it takes to get that off of the ground, right, instead of having it up in the air already, and then you just release it while you're up there. And so how long have you been working on that one right there?
T-Gals project went for about 3 years, and it's in hiatus right now, but it's getting ready to start back up again. And there are a few other companies outside of NASA that are sort of harnessing the technology themselves and trying to expand on it.
So I know there are going to be a lot of students, and some of them are in high school and some getting ready to go into high school, or they're watching this right now going, this is absolutely awesome what this guy gets to do for a living. I know that you talked about being an intern and where to go to get an internship, but as they're in school, are there any math courses that would benefit them along the way? Or science for that fact?
Yeah, physics and math all the way. I struggle with math. I still do. I have a hard time with math. And for me, being able to relate it to something tangible like airplanes has really opened my horizons and my limits and allowed me to be who I am, even though I have that, that frustration with math. So for sure math, and for sure sciences, mostly physics.
All right, well, Red, you know what? I'm actually pretty glad that you get frustrated with math, because a lot of students do also. And the more they get frustrated, but then when they learn it, their brain is actually growing and you're learning a little bit more. And if you stuck with already the stuff you knew, it wouldn't be that much of a challenge and you get more out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a blessing for me to be able to have that to apply to.
Well, we certainly do appreciate your time today, Red, and thank you for joining us here on Do the Math today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, 636-4357 is that phone number. Time now for some culinary calculations.
Okay, so now that we have made our raspberry cheesecake ice cream, we are gonna focus on our squash blossom stuffed poblanos and rice. So first thing we wanna do is get the rice going. I have here some jasmine rice. It is a long grain rice. And that just simply means that these little grains are longer than other kinds of grains. That's it. When I cook rice, I like to wash the starch out, because unfortunately, if you leave the starch in, you will have a gummy mess. So as you can see, the water gets nice and cloudy, and that is all of the starch leaving the rice. So we're gonna do this a couple more times. So we've got our nice washed rice. Let's get it on the stove. You can add anything you want to rice, really. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add bay leaves and a yellow onion. Onion has two ends. It has a root and it has the stem. Root, stem, hairs, one hair. Okay, When we cut an onion to dice it, otherwise known as a brunoise, we are going to cut off the root. We're going to leave the stem. The reason for this is it gives us a place to hold onto when we're cutting our onion. So now that we have cut our onion, it's a lot easier to see the skin and just remove it. Now, sometimes it takes a couple layers. It takes a couple layers to get rid of that skin. You can see I took off my top layer. I still have papery skin here. So I'm gonna take off another one. That's okay. I know some of you at home are thinking, she's wasting it. She's wasting the onion. I'm not. I don't want to eat that part. You don't either, trust me. So we are going to slice it downwards in even chunks. As you can see, I am not going all the way through to the end here. I am stopping about 1/5 of the way from the end. I'm just gonna do that all the way down, okay? Then, so now we have our parallel cuts all the way down. Now, we're gonna go in horizontally on the onion, and we're gonna try and go in at the same spacings as we did our top vertical lines. So I'm gonna put my hand down, palm down, fingers curled up, please. And I'm going to run this blade down the inside of the onion. I still have some more room, so I think I'm gonna do it again. As you can see, this is where my knife is stopping, right here. I'm not going farther than that. I want this all to be held together, so when I cut it, and hold on to this tail, my onions won't fly everywhere. And now for the magical moment, and it just comes right off in a dice. There you go. Because you don't want to dull your sharp edge, so I'm going to use the back of my blade and my hand, and I'm just putting my onions straight into my rice with a little dollop of this unsalted European style butter. Now, you can use salted butter, but just keep in mind you're adding more salt to your food that way, so when you season it, you're going to add less salt. So I'm just gonna add my butter right in there, and I'm gonna turn my rice on. While that butter is starting to melt, I'm gonna add these bay leaves. Now, bay leaves are the leaves of the laurel tree. It has a very aromatic quality, and it's used to flavor a lot of savory dishes in a lot of different cultured cuisines, including Mexican food, which is kind of what we're riffing on today. So I'm gonna add 2 bay leaves in. So you can hear my rice starting to sizzle. Just got some onion, bay leaves, our washed rice, and butter. We're gonna let our butter melt and toast our rice just a little bit. I have a low sodium, low fat chicken stock here. If we read our stock, we have organic cane sugar, organic tomato puree, onion juice, carrot juice, turmeric, spices. That's what stock allows you to do. Add my liquid. Now, a rule of thumb for those of you at home, I think, who have cooked rice before, you've always heard you want 2 parts of liquid to every 1 part of dry rice. Sure. That works sometimes if the rice has been freshly harvested. If you're buying rice at a store, you sometimes don't know what you're getting. You don't know how long that rice sat in a warehouse before they bagged it, before it got to the grocery store, before it sat in the grocery store's back room, before they put it on the shelf, before they sold it to you. So sometimes you gotta watch the rice. Always reach in the back for anything that's the freshest. And secondly, if you don't want to measure 2 to 1, you can always do the finger trick. So what that is I'm going to stick my spoon into the top level of liquid until it reaches the top of my rice. If the water was cold, which you can start with cold water, if the water was cold, I would be sticking my finger in here directly, but it's not. So I have right there, that's the line. You're going to put the segment of your middle finger in, that first line there. That is how high the water should be over your rice. And we can see that it is. So I have now added enough liquid. My rice is coming to a simmer. I am going to turn it low and cover it. So I've got my gloves on, I've got my peppers cut, and now I want to stuff these peppers. So we've opened up our lovely little cavity here.
Well, I know Mick and I are both looking at that going, we were hungry right there. I know John's looking at it, Sophia, everybody looking at that going, Yep. In studio, we have Aaron, a 6th grade student from Reagan Elementary. And you like rice and onions and peppers and stuff like that?
I guess.
Yeah, why not, right? You try that out, you'd be like, hey, you eat it, I'll eat it too, right? Try it out. You ready to do another math problem?
Yeah.
All right, head on over to the board. I'm going to read the problem while you guys have it already set up here. At a middle school, the 6th grade class of 390 increased by 10%. So you guys already have 390 with an increase of 10%. 7th grade had 350, increased by 22%. 8th grade had a class of 420, increased by 20%. Overall, what was the percentage increase of students? Express your answer to the nearest 10th. So we need to
What are your
find the new
thoughts? What do you
total
think?
of students, first of all.
Well, I think we should figure out like how many students there are now.
Okay.
First for 6th, 7th, and 8th,
Okay.
and then we should add the new values together, and then put and then like last year's value, I guess. You add all these, and then you divide this answer by the answer you got for this year's.
Okay. Well, let's start with just trying to figure out the new total. So what do you want to do for that?
Well, I want to multiply 390 by 10%, which is 10 over 100. So you can simplify this, and it would be 39.
So is that the new number? There's 39 students in 6th grade?
No, you would add that to 390.
Very good. So one thing you could do in the future to avoid that step is, if I know it's 10%, I could do 390 times 1.10. Because the whole number 1 is going to allow it to stay the same, and the extra 10% gives me that 10% bump.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
But
If
I
you
like
wanna
how
do it
he
as a fraction, you
simplified.
could still do it as 110 over 100, which you could still simplify with some zeros.
Those guys are on a roll with the zeros. That's
keep
why I was
going.
like, dude, the way he was doing
Makes
that was
sense?
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I've already worked it out. So you have 390 plus 39. Can you do some mental math, or do you want me to use a calculator? What's our new total number of students in 6th grade after the jump?
Well, it would be
420.
429.
429. All right, very good. All right, go ahead and write it on the right side. So that's our new total.
429.
All right, and now let's do that. You want to do the same process with 7th grade?
Yeah.
So you tell me what to multiply, and I'll multiply it for you.
Okay, so 350
Got it?
times 0.22.
Okay, times 0.22. That gives us 77.
You add 77 to 350.
427.
So this one's 427.
Okay, and our final one?
You multiply 420 by
Okay.
0.2.
Now I'm going to do 1.2 so we don't have to add it at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so times 1.2, 504. So again, the nice thing about doing 1.2 instead of 0.2
Yeah.
is it's already kind of added in there with it.
Wait.
So 504. All right, so we have our new numbers, but we're wondering, what's the percentage they went up all together? So let's figure out how many did we have originally? Ooh, almost let a sneeze out there. Ooh, I had to hold that one in. All right, how can we figure out the total number of students we had previously?
Well, you add 390.
Okay, plus,
and 350,
got it,
and plus 420.
1,160.
Okay.
All right,
And then-
and what's next?
You get the values for these by adding them.
Okay, so what do you want me to add?
429
Got it,
and 427,
next one.
504.
Got it. 1,360.
1,000.
So, since you guys now have the old total of students and the new total of students, you only have one step to go. We're going to let you guys work on that while we work on some more culinary calculations.
Let's deal with poblanos and let's deal with this. This is the kitchen scale. The kitchen scale is another way to measure. When we made ice cream, we measured with cups and teaspoons. When we make these poblanos, we are going to be measuring with a scale. Now the scale has several modes. It can measure both in ounces and pounds, which is what we're going to use today, but it also has grams and kilograms, which is what most standard kitchens use. We don't want our scale to touch anything because that will affect the reading. We want to make sure it's tiered. That means that you have zeroed the scale. The scale should not be at 3.25 pounds. We have nothing in the bowl yet, right? So the way that we avoid adding the weight of the container is we tear the scale. This will just set it back to 0. So now I know if we're gonna do 6 ounces of chicken. I can just add that into a nice bowl and not have to worry about the weight of the bowl. Nice shredded chicken. So 6 ounces it is. Now, we are going to add to that 6 ounces, right? So I have my 6 ounces. What am I gonna do? I'm going to tear. I can add my squash blossoms in. So we have chopped up the squash blossoms we got from the farm, and we're gonna add in 2 ounces. All right, we're gonna tear our scale again, and we need to add in 4 ounces of goat cheese. You know what's lucky is this package is exactly 4 ounces. Did we plan it that way? Maybe. So we are just going to squeeze our goat's cheese right into that bowl. Make sure we get all of it, because then it won't be 4 ounces. Last but not least, we are gonna add in our cilantro and our seasonings. Now, there is another trick that I have for you, of course, for plucking cilantro. This cilantro, 2 things to note about the cilantro. First of all, this shows me that cilantro is almost out of season. How do I know? The leaves have changed shape to be thinner, and this usually happens right before they're about to go to seed, which means they're gonna flower and they're gonna produce little seeds, which I also have here for you. Now, when cilantro is in seed form, it's called coriander. And it gives off a very citrusy, earthy scent that's a bit different than the fresh cilantro. But again, farmer's market, so we're gonna get things that look a little different from time to time, and that's okay. Okay, pulling cilantro leaves. We don't have to sit here and pull them one by one, I swear. We're going to take our fork, and we're gonna brush this cilantro like we're brushing hair. You can see they get all stuck in the tines of the fork. We're not wasting our lives plucking cilantro. So that's how we're gonna handle this. We're gonna chiffonade this cilantro. Now, what a chiffonade is it's creating ribbons of whatever herb or leaf or flat thing that you're using. So what we're gonna do first step on a chiffonade is we are going to roll up our leaves. And yes, these are a bunch of small leaves, but you'd be surprised how well they roll up into each other. So we're gonna roll them up. Roll, roll, roll. My hands are gonna smell so good after this, unless you hate cilantro, in which case they're gonna smell awful. And then we are gonna take our knife and in a kind of chugga-chugga-choo-choo motion here, we're gonna slice through the roll we made. Now, when we're cutting, please use the claw to protect your knuckles. I can't cut my knuckles no matter what I do here. There's no fingers for me to chop no matter how close I get to this hand. Stay safe. So first things first, salt and pepper. If you pre-mix your salt and pepper, I've used salt and white pepper here because I want to play off those Mexican flavors. And by pre-mixing your salt and pepper, you have a ratio that's exactly how you like it, whether you want a 2-to-1 salt to pepper or 1-to-1 salt to pepper, and just makes things a lot easier when you're seasoning. So we're gonna, lower the amount of motions we have to make. We're gonna season with our salt and pepper mix. And you know what? Why not? We have the coriander here, so let's hit it with a little bit of that. Okay. Now, just gonna mash this all together, our nice shredded chicken, our goat cheese, our squash blossoms, our cilantro, and then we are going to work on stuffing our peppers. All right, so we've got a mix now that is pretty well incorporated and really easy to hold together, and it's gonna be a great filling. Now, there's two ways to handle stuffed pepper. Some people will fire roast first, de-skin, and then stuff. But today we're gonna keep these whole. The reason for that is the skin on these peppers, because it's not a supermarket pepper, is a lot thinner and a lot easier to deal with. So we're not gonna worry about de-skinning anything today. All I'm going to do is cut a slit down the middle. I am going to then cut a slit on either side, there and there. So I can open up my pepper. I can take the core out. Woo! And I can stuff. So I've got my gloves on, I've got my peppers cut, and now I want to stuff these peppers. So we've opened up our lovely little cavity here. Now, because we are stuffing these peppers while they are still raw, it's gonna be a lot easier for us to close up our peppers in the oven because they're more firm. So I'm gonna get the other one here. And then those are going to go in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes. When they come out, we are gonna serve them with rice and it will be luscious.
And I'm sure it was luscious right there. Those baked products and all the things that they make over there are just simply outstanding. So thanks once again to Radio Sandwich for helping us out with our culinary calculations. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Erin is a 6th grade student from Reagan Elementary in studio with us this afternoon. Been doing some great problems so far. And the last one you were working on was percent of increase for students. So I know you had the two totals. So then, Erin, what did you do after that?
We used I used the formula for finding the percent increase, which is the new value. I could just put n minus the old value, or O, over the old value.
And then down here we have the numbers that correspond. So the new number of students was 1,360.
And the original was 1,160. So and I divided and I got and then I multiplied it by 100 and then I got a percent.
And what was our percent increase overall between 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students?
About 17.2.
There you go. Nicely
Nice
done.
work.
17.2%.
Nice man. Way to go.
Very good. Nice work today, boys. Erin, did you have some fun today?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's what we want to hear. Until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.